Joining us on the Western Hotline, senior NFL writer at the Boston Globe, Ben Volin, to talk about Bills-Patriots. Ben, good morning. Jeremy and Nate's in for our regular co-host Joe, so happy to have you on this morning and eager to see this game play out on Sunday.
I mean, me too. Thanks for having me on, guys. I mean, what an awesome game this is going to be Sunday in Foxborough. Not to use the old cliche, but like totally a heavyweight bout, two contenders. It's been a few years since Gillette Stadium's had a game this big. And I don't think anyone at the beginning of the season expected this to be a showdown, certainly not with the Patriots having the ability to clinch the division on Sunday. So it's an interesting battle where both teams seem to have the motivational edge, if that's possible. The Bills obviously want to get their, revenge for the Week 5 game, and the Patriots going into this week as home underdogs, according to the Vegas odds makers. So the Patriots clearly, I would think, are using that as their own motivation. So should be a great game and should be a really tight game on Sunday.
I saw the exchange with Mike Vrabel too about like the odds makers and who are the odds makers. These are they're people. Ben, when it comes to the Patriots, like how have expectations over the year change? Because I feel like coming in, they were a little bit of a darling, right? There's a lot to like about them. They could make some noise. Then was it beating the Bills that really started them getting taken seriously, even in the Boston area?
Yes. Beating the Bills was absolutely the start of this because to that point they were 2-2. They had just beaten the Panthers, who at that point were still looked at as one of the NFL's really struggling teams. And the Patriots before, they had a bad loss to Pittsburgh, a bad loss to the Raiders. So absolutely beating the Bills in Week 5 was their, welcome to the NFL moment and when people started taking them seriously. Obviously now they've won 10 in a row. Expectations, I think at the beginning of the season, people expected them to be better, but like 8 or 9 wins, like maybe competing for a wild card spot. And even then, that's like, well, they doubled the win total from the last couple of years because, they obviously are coming off consecutive 4-13 seasons. So I think people expected them to be better, but not have an 11-2 record, competing for the number 1 seed. I think, look, if this year, like, peters out for the Patriots, which it might. Like, I don't expect them to get to the Super Bowl, and I could see them losing in the first or second round to a better team at this point. I think fans will be disappointed, but no one will be upset. Everything about this year is all gravy because no one expected this, and the future looks so bright now for Drake May and Mike Vrabel, and they got Josh McDaniels. So it'll be disappointing if it doesn't go far for the Patriots, but I don't think anyone has any right to be upset because everything about this year has been terrific.
Ben, I wanted to ask you about the backfield. Ramondre Stevenson comes back from missing about a month. And in that time that he was gone, TreVeyon Henderson, I think, started to finally see the touches and the playing time that I could tell you a lot of fantasy owners thought TreVeyon Henderson was going to get early this season. And he definitely delivered in those 3 games without Stevenson. Now that Stevenson's back, he's kind of back in that, committee role. When you look at this offense at their best, who's in the backfield when they're maybe the most explosive, or maybe the right word is most dangerous offensively?
Well, yeah, I mean, TreVeyon Henderson is clearly the most explosive. He's got, touchdown runs of 65 and 58 yards. He had a kickoff return touchdown in the preseason. So there's no question that TreVeyon Henderson is the more explosive weapon out of the backfield. That said, he's not the bigger guy. Ramondre Stevenson is the bigger, more physical back. So the Patriots don't want to slam TreVeyon Henderson into the middle of the line 15 times either. Stevenson is more the I formation between the tackles type of running back. That said, he has been one of the least efficient runners in the NFL all season. If you look at his numbers, both like regular and analytics, I mean, his yards per carry is among the worst. His success rate is among the worst. He and the Patriots have been brutal on short yardage running, and it's not all him. It's really the Patriots' offensive line too. The center, Garrett Bradbury, left guard, Jared Wilson, or his backup, have really struggled, I think, to get the push on the offensive line and to kind of win that battle in the trenches. And you've seen that reflected the last 2 weeks with the Patriots being 1 for 7 in the red zone and really struggling on the goal line and having to settle for short field goals. So, like, the combination of the offensive line not being great and Stevenson not being very efficient has been difficult, for the Patriots to overcome. So I would expect to see, coming off the bye, using a little bit more of Travion Henderson down in the goal line area, down in short yardage, not necessarily to run between the tackles, but maybe the Patriots start attacking the edges and trying to get outside a little bit, because it's just not working with Stevenson and the offensive line right now.
Ben Volin of the Boston Globe on the Patriots. New England's defense, New England, I feel like the depth has been a conversation about them. Are they able to get through injuries, right? Will Campbell leaving their left tackle, and Milton Williams has also been a big absence for them. Do you feel like they have the depth right now to get through some significant injuries at very important spots?
I do. Will Campbell's loss the last couple weeks has been tough, but they've been okay with the backups. And even so they lost their left tackle and their left guard in the same game, and they both sat out the last game 2 weeks ago. And you didn't see a huge drop off. You're going from a couple of rookies to a couple of backups, and there wasn't a huge drop off on the offensive line. The real loss has been Milton Williams, who was really disruptive for them in the middle of their defense for the 12 games that he played, or 10 games that he played. He's gonna miss this week and the Ravens game next week, being on injured reserve. And not only was he really disruptive as a pass rusher, he was one of the had the highest pressure rate among defensive tackles when he got hurt, but also his run stopping was tremendous. And the Patriots, through the first 9 weeks of the season, had the number one run defense. And then the last 4 games, they've fallen back to the middle of the pack. They're allowing almost 5 yards per carry. Chase Brown ran all over them. Even Justin Fields kind of ran some circles around them. So, I think the Patriots, I think one real concern going into this matchup is they kind of are on the wrong side of the trench matchup on both sides. I think their offensive line is really struggling right now, and their defensive line is struggling, and the Bills have an excellent run game. So that's where the game's going to be won. I think the Patriots, their path in week 5 was they jumped out to a lead and they turned Josh Allen and the Bills a little more one-dimensional and took James Cook out of the game. I think the Patriots have to do that this time, because if they allow the Bills to stay in the game and let James Cook, get rolling and Josh Allen get rolling, I think it could be a long day for the Patriots defense. So they've got to shore up their defensive line and figure out how to stop the run.
To that point, is that the one? Not the one thing. Is that the next thing for Drake May to show? Because he's been great. I don't think anybody would dispute that. He's a really, really good young player, and he's had positive game scripts. Is the next thing that a Patriots fan would be thrilled to see out of him would be he can get into one of these classic, just up and down the field, 350, 3-touchdown kind of games that it might take to go toe-to-toe with a Josh Allen. We've seen these games from Allen many, many times. When he gets into December, he goes superhero mode. And I don't know if May has really shown superhero mode yet. You tell me. Is there another level that you're waiting to see, even though you've seen such good play from him?
He hasn't really needed Superman mode. I mean, the Patriots have really taken care of business against a lot of these teams. The Patriots have scored over 23 points in all their wins, and they've held all their opponents under 23. So there haven't been too many of these tight games. I think he only has one game-winning drive this year. But Drake May's been so steady. I mean, every game, the Patriots don't have a game yet this year under 300 yards of total offense, and Drake May has yet to throw under 200 yards. He's been in between 200 and 300 passing yards in all 13 games, which is incredible consistency. And even though he hasn't had the big fourth quarter, they haven't needed him for that, the Patriots have fallen behind in a lot of these games. They've had really slow starts in a lot of these games where they give up opening drive touchdowns, or they're down 10-0 after one quarter. And these guys don't bat an eye. And by the third quarter, the game is already easily in hand for the Patriots. So, avoiding the slow start again is going to be huge on Monday or on Sunday against Buffalo. They can't give up that early possession, that early touchdown, because again, that allows the Bills to get in their flow and get the run game going. So yes, Drake May needs to prove that he can be the fourth quarter gunslinger like Josh Allen can, but he hasn't had that opportunity. And Drake May has passed every single test this year. He's been fantastic. It's really hard to find many flaws in his game, other than he takes maybe a couple too many sacks. But Drake May has just been phenomenal this year.
Ben Volin of the Boston Globe. Ben, thanks for the time. Enjoy the game. We're looking forward to it.